Hello.
Oh,
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Can you see him?
How come you guys look so professional and I look so, I don't know, in the
Oh,
atmosphere?
don't say that, man.
But now
Don't
we
say
lost
that.
Adam.
Adam, where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay, that's all I
Oh, I
want
see.
to
You
know.
probably only get one. You know what? What's happening, Zach? Just so you understand the technology here.
Please,
know
I
if you
don't.
have- Okay. So what's happening? However, you can go. Are you on a computer or a phone?
On the phone.
On the phone.
Oh, that's why. Okay. So on the phone version, I think you only get to see the speaker. So in other words, it automatically the video goes to, and the audio really
I
goes
see.
to whoever is speaking.
I got you. I see you and I see me and I don't see Neil, but that's okay.
Neil.
I've seen
If I
you.
speak now, do you see me, Zach?
Now I see you, but I don't see Adam. So
Well, this will actually help us talking over each other because
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's great to be back, Adam. And I must say, when I talk to you directly and you speak to me, I don't miss Neil. That's a
Neither do
terrible
I.
thing to say.
You guys have known each
Take the
other.
next hour off. It's great.
You guys,
Anyway, how have you been? I know that's not part of the curriculum, but how have you been?
oh, he's getting another phone call. This guy has
Am
got
I
five,
really, man? This
guys-
is
guy's
pathetic.
got five
Yeah,
phone
wait.
calls.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
battlefield conditions.
Hello, here I am.
All right.
Okay, I hope so. Yep, back again. I see Neil.
You're doing great.
Oh, now I see Adam.
All
Do
right.
you see me?
Yeah, we see the top of your head chopped off, though.
It's
Okay, well, let me.
Yeah, there we
flip.
go.
Now, okay. As long as you don't see my whole
Wait a minute.
body, it's okay.
How's that,
Your
Neil?
body's okay. It's my whole body you don't want to see.
Now I'm only seeing, and now I see your face, but I saw the bottom of half of Adam, I guess.
All right. Well, you can't. Okay. You don't have. Now you know what's going to happen, Zach. So you're going to. It's going to go between seeing Neil and me, whoever happens to be talking. So don't.
Right.
You don't have to worry about. We're all connected successfully. So thanks for.
Terrific. Thank you for the connection.
Yeah, and to answer your question, I'm doing great. I decided that Chief Zabu had such impact on my life that while I was living in New York City, I felt some strange compulsion to move upstate, and I couldn't shake it. And finally, in late June, I had to give in to the compulsion, and I moved about 5-10 minutes away from Bard College, and I couldn't figure it out until I turned on Chief Zabu, and I realized
everything's inside Bard College. That's the only time we ever got outside. We look at the Plaza Hotel, we walk in, Bard.
yeah.
That's it, man. Except when we went to my, what do you call it?
Timeshare.
Timeshare. That was Tibaraku.
Right.
How do you like that? St. Croix.
I do. By the way, this morning I couldn't bring myself to eat one more breakfast burrito. I can't look at another one. I've been eating them every day. So I grabbed my copy of
the chronograph.
and I went to the diner because very good. And I sat and I finally read through, but I did post something on social media about it.
Oh, great.
A few days ago, having only scoured it. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Scanned it. But now I actually read the whole thing, and it was a good article, actually, well written.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't write it, but
I
I answered it.
Well, but you're the guy because of your communication with Bard. Remember that.
Well, the whole article is about how they won't communicate with us. But I have found some students in the world of Bard comedy memes who have suddenly shown an interest in Chief Zabu and have begged me to send them a poster, which I'm doing tomorrow. And perhaps we will get some sort of underground screening of Chief Zabu working around the administration there to show them the students there, the campus that actually no longer exists, but is captured in Chief Zabu.
Oh, it doesn't exist? What do you mean it doesn't exist?
Well, when we do that beautiful driving scene up to Skip's house, all
Yeah.
that forest now is the Fisher Center for Arts. It's like a Frank Gehry building, and so many areas that we drove through that when Skippy's shooting golf balls, it's either a parking lot or it's a dormitory or something. And of course, when you go into Skip and Monica's house, we couldn't film that now because it's got all kinds of signs saying no smoking and no this and no that, and there might be carcinogens, and so it was a more innocent time when we were all living in the bunk beds.
The Plaza Hotel is still there. And I'm so happy to be back here, I must say.
But
and I'm not kidding. I'm talking about you.
Me?
That's right, you. Yeah.
Okay.
Adam, doesn't everyone say they're happy to see you?
I am.
Not my son.
He's not old enough.
No, he is. No, he's happy to see you. I'm kidding.
No, and I'm kidding too. But let me tell you, when you do get a little older, it gets much more appreciative.
Are you grappling with your mortality, Zack? Because you keep.
Oh, I'm not. I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I have no choice, so I've chosen to enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm really thrilled for the opportunity to bring it back. We've been talking about, for those who may be watching or listening to this, who, I mean, not at the moment, but later on.
Right.
And I am going to figure out as a footnote or as a sidebar, you can live stream these things too, by the way. I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm going to get there. So I think that could be fun to do. But people can actually enjoy this while we're talking. We could get canceled within seconds of that we were talking about walking into the plaza and being at Bard. What that we're referring to is that you guys shot almost all the interiors on the campus of Bard College, specifically in various buildings. So, which I thought you did a really wonderful job doing. And
I'm impressed. I'm in it, but I'm really impressed by the way it looks. It's amazing when you think about 90% was at Bard inside and 10 or 15% outside.
You know, directors aren't supposed to say this, but a lot of it's a testament to the people who did the set design. Mm-hmm. And the people, the DP, because, we were so busy corralling the actors and doing the scene that those scenes that are supposedly in the Plaza Hotel, those rooms didn't look like that. Somebody dressed those sets, and the people who dressed those sets were the set designers and the DP lining up those shots to make what is a dormitory look like a hotel suite. So I hope those people since 1986 have had a very nice life. And if they've had a nice life or a bad life, I want them to know how much we appreciate what they did.
And I feel the same way. It also expedited the whole movie. Yeah. Because we slept in the dormitory and we ate in the cafeteria. So there was no travel time.
And I remember when they decorated the set of the mansion inside a different building at Bard, our actress Lucienne Buchanan, who plays Monica, walked into the set and saw that they had put a harp there, which they felt was a sight gag. And she said, "Why did you put a harp here?" We said, "Well, it's funny that there's a harp in this rich person's house." And she said, "Well, I was the runner-up to the Miss America contest, and my talent was harp playing. And so she plays the harp in the movie. So, forget the gang from Kaye Cinema. We are the true, real filmmakers, because if there's a harp, someone's going to play it.
Well, actually, there's a scene in the movie where she actually grabs my harp.
Well, and it's a shame you had to.
Well, leave it at that. That's right, Adam.
Oh, I don't want to leave it there at all, actually. That's what she said. I was thinking it's a shame you had to fire the prop master for not being able to find a harpsichord. Because it turns out that the harp was I should have chosen a different instrument. Harp and harpsichord are very similar. But what are their relationship that they both have the word harp in it,
I think a harpsichord is like a harp turned on its side with keys, so it's kind of the same
sound, but a different
and I'm not going to purport to get any further down the line of technology or musicology, except to say, I think they knocked it over on its side and added keys. Because, you can tell I'm very bright to say something like that.
Yeah. Well, I never saw a harpsichord, and I was a drummer. So there you are.
Were you?
But yeah, sure was. I grew up. That's how I became a comedian. I would sit behind the drums and look at all those guys come up and all the girls loving them. And they got 7 times the money I got playing the drums. So bingo.
You're not suggesting you were working in some sort of what do they call it?
Nightclub.
Okay, nightclubs.
That's what they were called in those days.
I was thinking burlesque for a second, but
no burlesque. Yes,
a little earlier.
Strip joints, we called them.
Okay.
That's when I became a comedian at the beginning, and then ended up traveling with the Temptations, by the way.
No way.
As their opening act as a comic, yeah.
Really?
Yes, sir. Copacabana with the Temptations.
That had to be very challenging, because I have to imagine that the audiences were like, "Get this guy off! We want to see the."
They were there for the Temptations, and
yeah.
I used to say the very same thing. You don't recognize me? They just looked at me. But it was great. It was great fun. I enjoyed it, and worked all over.
So there had to be like some serious experience, or serious, getting some serious experience under your belt, because those had to be tough crowds, because you were there. They wanted to see the Temptations, and you had to make them laugh and make them like you and make them respond to you, and they just wanted to get right to the Temptations, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what they were there for.
Yeah.
I said, it won't be long. Just listen for a while.
Yeah, just go through the motions.
Yes,
I mean, Zach, you actually, I know you don't do this usually, Adam, but up on Zach's wall, somewhere where he's sitting, is a poster of the Temptations with Zach's name on that poster.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my face is not there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Temptations, and me. I got the same size billing as the Temptations, but no picture. Anyway, I said to them every night when they would look up at me, I said, "You don't recognize me," and I really enjoyed it because they were so confused.
Yeah. Did you? So we have to see the graphic. Maybe you can take a picture of that at some point.
I sure will take a picture anytime.
I'd love to of that poster, because I'd love to see it. That's great. Wow. Yeah,
it was just the whole trip, and then from there into the movies, which was what a trip. All came out of the real estate business.
Okay, remind us.
How do you like that?
What was the moment where that transition happened? Like,
it's an easy answer. My whole life, I was told one thing: if you make money and you're rich, you'll be so happy. And I was so lucky because I made money and got rich young.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, where is the fun? Where is the action? And I left. I got on a plane and went and celebrated in Europe, entertaining the troops.
Wow.
And that's a fact.
That's amazing.
And most people, you know, they just never get that score.
In this article, Zach, that I read about Neil, that Neil interviewed for, they asked Neil how you guys met.
Uh-huh.
And the story is that you were in a meeting. Neil at the time, back I'm going to guess in the early '80s, was working for I
was working for actually who is now a very big talent agent, Don Buchwald.
Yeah, and
wow.
I think it was 77, by the way.
I don't know. If it was 77. It might have been a little later than that, because the way I got to work for Buchwald is I had a play that was playing in 77 off Broadway. And 77, 78, and this man named Don Buchwald came to see the play. He knew one of the actors in the play I wrote, and he came backstage. Well, backstage was kind of the toilet, but he came, you know, off stage. He told me how much he liked the play. And I said, well, that's great. I mean, you're an agent and I'm a playwright, and do you think you can get me some work? He said, absolutely. Show up in my office on Monday. I said, great, and what are we going to do? And he said, you'll start answering my phone. So, you know, at that point, I had no rejoinder except to find a tie and a suit, and showed up on, you know, Monday working as an agent for this guy. And, you know, it was not very good, but was, I guess, very affable. And then one day,
very affable. You're absolutely right.
Zack walks in, who I kind of sort of know, you know, just from some underground films, with Robert Downey Sr., who's Robert Downey's father, but Robert Downey at that point is like 11 or something. But the father walks in, who I certainly know from Greaser's Palace and Putney Swope and Chafed Elbows and all those great underground movies. And so I make a big fuss. I'm so excited. And Don has no idea who these people are. And he says, you handle these guys. And they were making a movie called America and wanted to sign an actress named Tammy Grimes, who we represented. So he said, you put together the deal with these two guys. And I just sat down with them for about 35 minutes, and they were just so much fun. And at the time, I wasn't. And we make this deal. I walk them to the elevator, and Zack says to me, you look like the most unhappy man I've ever met. And I said, I am. I'm so unhappy. He said, why? I said, well, I don't want to be doing this. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to write scripts. He said, well, give me a script and I'll read it. So I gave him a script. He read it, and a week later, he said, quit your job, come work for me. We'll write scripts.
And bingo, Chief Zabu.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to draw a connection here. I wanted to make a connection because Zack, I feel like, realized through his, you know, his aha moment, or that money wasn't everything. Obviously, you didn't have to grapple with that, Neil. You didn't have any, but you did still arrive at, you got, you know, what's the point if you're not happy?
Right.
And he recognized maybe that in this young guy.
Yeah.
And that empathy you may have arrived at that empathy, Zack, because of your own experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah, go ahead.
No, not to be too philosophical, but now that I'm old, I get to be philosophical. A couple of times in life, people have said things that are kind of rude, but they're people who are affable, nice, warm, wanting to be helpful. And, you know, you could hear a guy say, what's wrong with you, man? You look really unhappy. That's a very challenging thing for a stranger to say to somebody. And under normal circumstances, you know, you'd get your hackles back and say, fuck you. But if it's coming from a guy who's putting out a lot of joy, you go, I'm not unhappy. I am unhappy. Give me a clue. What should I, you know, what, you know? And the clue is, what would you prefer to be doing? You know?
Do me a favor, Neil, will you please? Don't call yourself old. Man, oh man, if Neil's old, I don't know what I'm doing here. That's unbelievable. By the way, the real estate business not only got me out of there and took me to all kinds of places as a comic, but I became a producer because of the real estate business. I learned amortization and depreciation. You know what that is, Adam, right?
Oh, sure.
Of course.
I've heard the lecture many times, and I still don't know what it is.
Well,
all I know is that there's some great titles like Hearts and Minds, which won the Academy Award in 1974.
74, but got it.
That's documentary, and a lot of people say was instrumental in ending the Vietnam War. It was a documentary about the Vietnam War that once it was made, Columbia Pictures refused to distribute it, and Zack stepped in and raised the money and financed the distribution of this great
through
movie.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
By the way.
And a number of other great movies he produced, like Daughters of Darkness for you horror fans, or you know, lesbian vampire fans, if we want to break it down a little.
That's how to break it down, man. The only
Don't
one
stop
I
there.
know of.
Yeah.
Don't stop there, Neil.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
And movies like Tracks, which is a great movie with Dennis Hopper. And
what's this got to do with Chief Zabu?
It all has to do with Zabu. It's part of why I was attracted to leaving a solid job to jump off a cliff with this guy.
Yeah, good action.
Well, I'm grateful because it led me to you guys, the Chief Zabu. And you know, I got a I don't remember how we maybe through a Twitter or through an I don't remember.
I mean, here we are. I know nothing about social media, and yet I've met some of the greatest people on it because I treat it like it's 2 tin cans and a tight string, you know. And I had been seeing these interviews you had been doing, Adam, and they were. Yeah, I'm sorry you're going to have to hear this. They were just at a different level, man. I mean, they were so deep, but at the same time, so warm and inviting to an audience. And the people you were interviewing were so fascinating because so many of them I knew about from the art film world, but so many of them I never heard of. And the interviews were so interesting with people I had never heard of that then I would seek out their movies and say, gee, I mean, there's such a world out there of art that is not covered by the conventional outlets. And you're creating this out. I mean, how many interviews? You've done over 600 interviews, right?
Way more than that.
Way more than that.
Well,
and if
some of those episodes had two segments, or, you know, yeah, it's a little embarrassed.
Well, it's not. You've created just like the greatest library of film history of the late 20th century now into the 21st century. So I said, gee, I'd love to meet this guy. And, you know, you could cut this out of the tape. I just reached out to you and you said, yeah, let me see the movie. I've heard of Zack. I would love to see it. And you saw it and said, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, well, we see again. Zack's getting the phone calls.
I'm getting them and I'm getting them off.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I like that fiery red hellish scene that shows up when you get a phone call. There it is.
That's okay.
I know people are worried about these West Coast fires, Zack. You don't want your screen to turn red and smoky there, like.
Oh my God!
I just hope that 4 years from now, we're back again together. See, I'm thinking a little different than you two guys. Every day's a holiday for me. You hear that? Yeah, look at Neil smiling. He's talking about getting old again. Don't.
Well, I can, when I hear, don't, Neil, we'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
But when I get Zack Norman on the podcast and Neil Cohen, it's a holiday. It is a holiday. This is a joy and a pleasure, really.
My pleasure for sure, and I know it's Neil's.
Thank you. It's
no kidding.
Really nice of you to say that. And by the way, I was walking through this 5 years ago. I was walking through Union Square in New York City, and I, of course, recognized Robert Downey Sr. We didn't call him Senior until there was a Junior, but I was walking by him, and of course, he's like a star to me. I'm excited. And nobody else is approaching him. I don't know how that happens to be the case, because it's Robert Downey who directed Putney Swope and Chafed Elbows, as you said, and this is the guy. And, so I walked up to him and I said, listen, I do this little podcast, Mr. Downey. Do you mind if coming on? Would you? And he goes, sure, kid. Like 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in his dining room, and we're having this really intense, beautiful conversation. Anybody can hear it. It's out there. Just Google it. I would much prefer to have Robert Downey Jr. on my show, but no, I'm kidding. I'm the guy that wants Robert Downey Sr. on my show because, this is a guy who actually is a pioneer.
Absolutely. And I had Robert Downey Sr. living in my apartment with his son Junior. And I won't go any further than that. We were making a movie called America that you've never heard of other than Neil mentioning it. But it was great fun, and what a very talented 16-year-old boy Downey Jr. was. He was talented from the beginning.
I bet.
He had to clean a window in the picture. And as he cleaned the window, I was watching him. He got closer and closer to the window and finally looked and saw himself and kissed the window. It had nothing to do with the script, and I loved it. It was great.
He knew. Well, interesting.
He knew.
Brave. It's like just knowing, going with your gut, even at that young an age, and knowing that it's the risks are worth taking if it's coming from your gut. That's something usually people twice his age discover if they're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So Chief Zabu, it is now available. This comedy, it's really a satire.
Yeah. I mean, it's a satire about a New York real estate developer who dreams about having political power. Made in 1986, and it's out now on Amazon and Vudu and iTunes and Google, and you can watch the great Alan Garfield, who's made, Alan has just left us. Not that he was on this podcast. The guy
but
dropped
he left
dead.
us on what day? That's
on the day we finished the final cut before it went up on the streaming, 34 years later. But Alan Garfield, who's one of the great American actors, people know him as a character actor in everything from Nashville to The Conversation to the Candidate. I'm into a C thing with Garfield.
Well, it's interesting though you mentioned those films, because all of those films have a very political, including yours, have a kind of a political through line.
Absolutely.
I mean, Alan in your movie plays somebody who ends up being a politician, but in The Candidate, in Nashville, in The Conversation. Well,
sure.
I don't know about The Conversation, actually.
Well, it's in a world of politics because he's doing the surveillance on the surveiller. And so, but he made like about 125 movies as a supporting player.
Yeah.
And in Chief Zabu, he's the star, and boy,
the star of the movie.
He just runs with it, playing this real estate guy in New York. Pugnacious and funny and so committed to the role If people are into acting, you want to see this picture to see what a guy does when he throws himself into a part.
Well, but he wasn't really completely together as a human being, which is a great political attribute.
That's right, apparently.
This man was troubled, I'll tell you.
Also co-stars an actor named Zack Norman.
He was something.
Whatever happened to that guy?
And there is a scene with Zack and Alan Garfield where they're driving in a car, and it's an uncut scene that's about 5 minutes long, and they're talking about their deal, and they're talking about how they're going to cut up the profits of the island of Zabu.
That's right.
And it's a marvel to see, because there's not one cut in that scene, but it's also a marvel to see because it's truly pure cinema. It's two actors committed with a camera bolted to the hood of their car, driving up the Taconic Highway with a mic in the back seat, with no cameraman, no sound man, no director. These guys just driving up together. We turned on the camera, and in those days, you had to wait till you got the daily, so it wasn't until 2 days later that we knew what we got. And what we got is really something, and it's pure cinema. It's two actors acting, being recorded with no crew. It's just pretty astonishing. A lot of fun.
About one thing.
What, you're gonna be too rich?
No,
Huh?
we drive up there, we pull
Income
up
tax?
to the place, the Kiesel, right?
Yeah.
That beautiful baronial house. And what happens?
What about it?
Ready for this one?
Yeah.
No check.
What do you mean, no check?
What happens if we get out there and all of a sudden they say, no check?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, just suppose. Just suppose for a moment. Think about it.
I don't understand.
Just suppose we
I
pull
don't
up there and they say, listen, we changed our mind. There's no check, Ben.
What do you think they're bringing us out there for? I don't understand you. What are you talking about?
I think we're going out
no
there.
check.
I think
No check. We're going out there to pick up a check.
We are indeed. But what happens? Just think about it. What happens if we drive up there?
Can you ever stay on the upside?
Well, I can think...
I mean, I don't understand you.
Can Skippy make the decision by himself? That's the question.
Why shouldn't he? He makes every other decision by himself, doesn't he?
I'm telling you that his dad makes a lot of decisions.
What?
You know that.
Wait,
think about it.
What do you mean I know that?
You know it very well.
What? Where do I know that? Do you know something I don't know?
I do, and I'm worried about it, and I'm going to tell you right now.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Wait a minute. What do you know that I don't know?
I know that Skippy doesn't make, so I'm told, by a pretty good source.
By whom?
Monica.
By whom? By Monica.
That's right.
Why would she tell you something she didn't tell me?
Because I fucked her.
You what?
That's
you
right,
fucked
man.
her?
I'm
you
sorry.
You fucked her? You fucked this deal. Are you crazy?
Don't say that. Take it
you
easy
fucked
now.
Monica?
That doesn't mean...
I don't fucking believe it.
Wait
I
a
gotta
second.
be out of my mind.
It does not mean that it's over, man. I'm merely saying...
Does a little kid know, too?
Nobody knows. I'm merely saying she said to me...
Know?
Skip doesn't know anything.
I don't believe it. How can you fuck her?
Please,
Why didn't you wait till we got the check?
She called me. I didn't call her.
There ain't gonna be no check.
You take it easy.
I don't believe this.
There very well can be a check. I'm just telling you.
The father has to say, huh?
She told me the father's got to say.
How come you never said the father before?
I didn't want to kill you. Your hopes, my hopes. I'm just thinking here. I'm going up there.
I'm gonna crack up this Mercedes.
I'm telling you. Just listen to me. She told me that the father made the decision.
How could you fuck her before we got the check, Sammy?
She called me. She came to my apartment. I didn't
call her. Anybody calls you, you go up and fuck them?
Take it easy.
We're talking about millions of dollars here.
Let's relax.
And you're talking about a bang.
Hold on.
It's gonna really boomerang.
Wait a second, man.
What am I driving out there for?
Crazy?
There's nobody gonna be there. There's nobody. That Skip's a moron.
Buddy, slow down.
He can't even make a decision by himself.
And
yes,
I'm right near I probably drive down that all the time, because when I remember driving between New York City and here, I am only minutes from Bard. So maybe we can set up that we have to have a screening up at Bard at some point.
Absolutely.
Or nearby, and just get those.
Yeah.
You know.
Nearby means if they won't let you in. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we'll use the Plaza Hotel. It's more likely that we'll just shoot the outside Bard. The inside.
That's it, man. Wow.
So stream Cheese Zabu today.
Yes.
If not tomorrow.
or today and tomorrow. And Alan Arbitz is in it, and Ed Lauder.
Marianne Hill is in it, who's just fantastic. Great actress who was in Godfather 2, Fredo's wife. She was in the
Right.
great movie Medium Cool, one of the great independent
Sure.
movies in
Absolutely.
American
And
history.
yeah, and the harpist. Remember the harpist again, because she transcends harping.
Lucienne Buchanan, she's brilliant in it. Ed Lauder's so much fun. Shirley Stoller's got a small part. And yeah, you'll have a ball.
Shirley is pretty heavy in this movie.
And also, Neil, hold up the American Gargoyles book.
Oh, well.
Notice you got all of.
There we are, American
What a
Gargoyles.
guy.
In our few minutes we have left here, just describe the book, because it's relatively new. There's
Yep.
talk about animating it into a
TV show, yeah. It's,
project.
we're negotiating the option now. It's a book for kids that I wrote and illustrated, and it's about the gargoyles on a great old New York City building that's now dwarfed by huge skyscrapers. And there's a guy named Donald Hairdo who wants to knock it down and turn it into a big mirror so he can look at himself all day long. And the
Wow.
gargoyles on the building have to find a way to save their home from destruction.
Can
So,
you imagine? Look
Can
at
you
this.
imagine?
Adam.
You know,
It's,
obviously,
it's unbelievable. This is a guy that was sitting there so unhappy. He's now an author.
there he
a
is.
writer.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
here's Donald. He's thinking about turning it into a mirror, and so it got a great review in the New York Times, and it's been
Everybody loves it. Period.
everybody digs it. And a company I won't name has made an offer, and they want to do a TV special out of it. It's a lot of fun. And I'm so proud from where you are that it's at the Strand down in New York City, because that's a dream of mine, that a book of mine would be being sold at the Strand. So
That's great, man.
Yeah.
To me, you're just a kid, and I love to see that energy.
so you know what that makes you, Adam? That makes you like a baby.
A toddler. That's
Well,
what you are, Adam, a toddler.
Well, I'm to have my 57th birthday coming up in a matter of days.
That was
Oh
a
my
long time
God.
ago,
Let me
man.
explain something. You're not going to be just 57, because the next day you're in your 58th year.
Thanks for that.
57's over after that day.
That's true.
Okay, remember that. You'll have a much better time.
I know. I'm taking all of your life lessons very, very,
Oh, yeah.
seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't want this to end, but I think that we
It
have less
never
than,
ends, because you can always see Chief Zabu. So it's never ending.
I just want to correct one thing that Neil said. He said we shot it in '86, and we did. And he's talking about streaming now. What he didn't tell you about is a week before we opened in New York and LA and around the country, our distributor went into bankruptcy. So we've had such a long journey with this movie, and we thank you, Adam, because when we spoke last time, we just opened the picture in
I know.
2016.
I know.
Yeah.
So wow, man, what a journey.
Neil Cohen, Zack Norman.
Lots of fun.
Love you
Adam,
guys.
Adam Shortoff, man, the guy just kills it.
And
Great.
they said Neil Cohen and Zack Norman because of the alphabet. I want you to understand that.
I do.
Okay, thank you, Adam. What a pleasure.
Thank you
You
guys.
guys, too much. I love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.